6 p.m. That was the original scheduled start time for the Friday night matchup of the weekend series of the Tampa Spartans and Lynn Fighting Knights. But due to the weather and the always present threat of rain in the state of Florida and here in the lightning capital of the world, Tampa, they have been pushed up to not just have one on Friday night, but a Friday afternoon doubleheader between your Tampa Spartans and the Lynn Fighting Knights. I'm Taylor Storley, joined by Victor Anderson for today's doubleheader matchup. Hopefully things stay dry and we get to play at least 14 innings of softball. Tampa will be looking to embark on a winning streak to get their first win outside of a neutral site this season. Victor, what are you most excited about for today's game?
Well, for Tampa after trying to get themselves back on the right track after getting swept at then number 14 St. Leo last week in the Star Conference play, the series was deceptively closer than the sweep indicated. They had the lead late in game one, lost out on a walk-off home run in the ninth inning, lost a tight game in the doubleheader to lose the series, and then the third game got out of hand, losing 9-1 in 6 innings over Aaron Kimberger and company. So a chance to kind of reset things against the Lynn team that has struggled to find a winning mark going into this season. They've lost 11 of their last 12, dating back to last season after they swept Florida Southern in Lakeland. So the Fighting Knights trying to get themselves back on the right side of things this Friday afternoon.
Cal will go 1-1. McGinnis finds his own for the first pitch and the second pitch of the game. Let's now look at that Lynn Fighting Knights lineup for game one of the doubleheader. Kylie Hope is leading off, and she'll get ahead 2-1 in the count. She'll be followed by Annalie Floriano, and batting third will be Tegan Riley. Savannah Ellis bats cleanup with Mariana Goins batting fifth. Kara Willis, sixth. Kata Santiago, seventh. Allie Morgan, eighth, as that one's flared foul, make it 2-2. And then Isabella Riddle rounds out the order. And they go up against Tampa's ace, Gwen McGinnis, one of the few players who was able to return for the Spartans in the offseason. And she has been living up to the hype and billing so far this season. A 1.58 ERA, a 1.23 whip. She has struck out 23 in 31 frames and carries a 3-2 record. That one's gone straight to home plate. The ump will call it foul barely, and that is important that it did go foul, as Hope would have been safe by probably a country mile.
That thing took a very funny spin off her bat. She kind of had a late swing, was fortunate not only to get a piece of it, but was able to somehow keep that ball in fair territory as long as it did.
So now we're on the 2-2 again from McGinnis. Flared to right field, that could drop. No, catch is made. Feast able to get there in time, one down. Didn't have a lot of velocity off the bat. Always scary when you're going into no man's land in the middle of the infield and outfield. Feast had just enough time to track it down, and that will bring up Floriano. So a quick out is exactly what the doctor ordered for Gwen McGinnis. That one's going to be rolled the second. Yetter's got time, 2 away.
And this is the type of start you want to get from McGinnis after having a rough stretch versus St. Leo last weekend. Get some early outs, get some confidence, get your offense an opportunity to build off what they were able to do with limited success against St. Leo last weekend. And really trying to get themselves a reset after a night that a good stretch in that second week versus in Daytona at a tournament hosted by Emory Riddles. That was in for strike one. But the offense hasn't been to what Coach Cantor has looked forward to. So hopefully they can get a good start from McGinnis, go 1-2-3, and get those Spartans bats going in the home first.
0-1. Hit to left. Is it catchable in foul territory? Yes, it is. Crashing into the cage. Catch made by Newpaver. And that'll end the inning. 3 up, 3 down for McGinnis, doing the job in the circle. And we'll have to wait and see if the Spartan bats can respond when we come back in the bottom of the first.
2, 1.
The warm-up continues and now officially concludes for the Fighting Knights for today's game. I'm Taylor Storley, joined by Victor Anderson as Lynn looks to get in the win column for the first time this season. But let's take a look at how your Spartans will line up. Aubrey Zekman leads off, followed by Jenna Newpaver. Batting third is Kenna Kreidler. Batting fourth, Cam Feast. Batting fifth, Carly Salisbury. Batting sixth, Micaiah Brumble O'Neill. Batting seventh, Abby Johns. Batting eighth, Hannah Yetter. Batting ninth, Kenzie Reynolds. And Victor, I know in the previous inning you were talking about Tampa's offense. They'd like to get a little more consistent at the plate, and they're hoping to capitalize on the top arm of the Lynn pitching staff. Ball one outside.
And this is a Lynn pitching staff that, when you look at those numbers, the offense has given them very little run support, as evidenced by that doubleheader sweep they had against NAIA St. Thomas this past in the midweek. And now, can they avoid a crooked number by Tampa in this bottom of the first inning?
Flared to left, and catch dropped. And heading to second safely is Zekman. It was a very good play out in left field by Willis, but the ball goes in and out of the glove, and it's a leadoff double for the Spartans.
That was a tough play. Got a late jump by Willis. She had it, but then as she was tumbling over, the ball popped out of her glove. It'll be a double for Zekman, and now Tampa in business with that leadoff runner aboard.
That's exactly what Tampa wants, to start the game strong. But it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. Good bunt by Newpaver. She'll be out, but the sacrifice puts Zekman at third.
And this is what made Tampa so successful last season. Is not just getting those runners on, getting them over, but getting those runners home. That's what led Tampa to the success that they have playing for the national championship and eventually falling to UT Tyler. Now they need to do more of that this year, especially with them being 3 games in a hole after that sweep to St. Leo to start conference play.
I was able to catch up with Coach Cantor before the game, and she was exactly repeating what you said. Being able to score with runners on base and in scoring position, it was something that Tampa was struggling with against St. Leo. And also, like you mentioned, the close finishes against the Lions where St. Leo was able to come out on top. Tampa just needs to be able to finish strong because they're already starting strong. They know how to get on board. They know how to set the table. But it's just about finishing the job. Tampa has a good chance to do this right here. Kenna Kreidler, the ace of the offense at the plate. She's batting .360, and she's brought home 7 of Tampa's RBIs for the season. The 3-0 count now will give Kreidler a chance for a walk. And I think it's a good idea for Lindsay just to give her the free base. Kreidler, another returning Spartan, is comfortably the most dangerous bat of the U-Tampa lineup.
Yeah, hitting .360, 3 home runs, 7 driven in. Really been a beneficiary of the great work from Coach Neubauer as she draws a walk.
Her discipline is second to none. She delivers with a ton of power. She's actually slugging .800 at this stage of the season, but she also can get on base. That is her 9th walk of the season. Tampa as a team have 18, so half of them come from their catcher. Here's Cam Feast looking to deliver. She'll square up for a squeeze, and the ball gets away. Safe with no contest at the plate is Zekman.
And how about that? Newpapers realizing the third baseman crashed down, anticipating that squeeze, so she takes that extra 60 feet. So Tampa takes the 1-0 lead, and now they have a runner at third thanks to that wild pitch.
And heads up by Kreidler, as you mentioned, to get to third, but also at the plate. I like the squeeze call from the Spartans. They know that Lynn have struggled with fielding in the early stages of the season. 6 games played and 12 errors as a team. That's one thing that I was able to catch up with Coach Pickett, and she mentioned her team would like to be more comfortable fielding the ball for the weekend series against the Spartans. And Tampa was immediately ready to put the defense to the test as the count goes 1-2. First pitch ball on the wild pitch, 2 straight strikes as Feast gets comfortable in the box.
And one thing we know from following this Tampa program, they like to put the ball in play and put pressure on your infield. And Lynn already showing some cracks with that pass ball, giving up that first run, and now you got the second run 60 feet away, count even 2-2. And if you're Tampa, these are those positions when you talk to Coach Cantor before the game that they need to execute. Runner at third, less than 2 out, just get the ball in play and get that runner home.
That one's going to be hit to short, picked up on a diving grab, but not enough time for the throw to first or the throw to home. It's a good stop by Riddle, but it's an RBI single out of Feast.
And that's exactly what you. And that's almost as if on cue. Hit the ball to the left. Hit the ball to the left side. Slow enough, you get the runner home for third, and you get the additional bonus with the single. So one on, one out. Spartans up 2-0.
Feast is successful in her lone steal attempt of the season. Maybe Tampa will run to try to avoid a double play. Flared foul, and it'll be a first pitch strike to Carly Salisbury. And actually, I have to correct myself. Feast 1 for 2 in stolen bases. She got caught once, but she was successful once. She's the lone Spartan to get caught out on the base path that's currently in the starting lineup. Lennox Ulrich has also been caught stealing in her failed stolen base attempt earlier. Swing and a miss in the dirt. 2 strikes now, although Feast stays put. 1 down with a runner on first. Tampa's already brought home 2 runs off the wild pitch, an RBI single. No shift from the Lynn defense. Here's the 0-2. High, runner goes. Throw is offline, although it goes right to the second base player, thankfully for the Fighting Knights. If that goes to the outfield, Tampa could have another runner at third base.
It's exactly what you wanted to. You got to feel that it was a very advantageous situation. You have a 2-strike count. Worst thing that happens, you get a bases clear and 2 out, but now you got a 1-ball, 2-strike count and another runner in scoring position for Tampa.
1-2. Fouled back. Good fastball out of Gabriella Lindsay. Lindsay also received some praise from Coach Pickett before the game, saying that she's really been able to step up and showcase her abilities as the top pitcher on the staff. She'll be going up against the ace of the Spartans as we continue the day-to-day. And this one will be rolled right to Lindsay, out of reach. Second base player, not enough time. Safe at first with good hustle is Salisbury. Feast stays at third.
And that's one of those plays where if you're the pitcher, you have to communicate that you're going to get that ball, because the inability for Lindsay to get there caused that second baseman hope to freeze just enough to let her to sprint over to first. And now you got Spartans up the corners, an opportunity for a big first inning, which is something that Lynn wanted to avoid.
And for Tampa, it's something they definitely want. Tampa's had some tough opponents to start the season. As there goes the runner, and they'll just make sure there's no double steal. Safe into second is Salisbury for her second steal of the season. But Tampa opened up their first road trip against St. Leo, a ranked team, and their first home series against Oklahoma Christian, a ranked team. And even though they dropped all 5 of those games, when it's come to the non-ranked opponents that they had on their trip to that Invitational in Daytona Beach, Tampa went 4-0. So the 4-5 record maybe doesn't look incredible on paper, but at the same time, flawless against non-ranked teams definitely shows that this team can definitely punch above its weight. That one's flared to first, caught. Both runners stay put, 2 away.
And when you have a schedule like Coach Cantor did, playing against Oklahoma Christian, who was a NCAA tournament team last year, and, of course, St. Leo, we know how the Lions and Coach Kimberger have been perennial tournament teams, super regional participants in the last few years. You knew the schedule was going to get you ready for trying to make another return run deep in the postseason. So an opportunity here at home with this long homestand starting off with to get yourself some momentum, get yourself back at 500, and more importantly, get off the schneid in conference play.
Swing and a miss. Strike 1 to Abby Johns. She'll look to convert with 2 in scoring position. Only 1 RBI on the season. She's batting .250. Is out in left field on defense. Lindsay up 0-1. On the corner, but called a ball. Morgan tried to frame it for a strike. She forms the battery. It'll go 1-1.
You can see her talking with our home plate umpire, Robert Kirk, about where that last pitch missed in his zone.
Johns to left field, but it is in range for Willis. Catch made, inning over. And while 2 get left on base, Tampa bring home 2 to start the game strong on 3 hits. Tampa opening up the scoring, but can they hold on? We'll be back with more action on the SSC Digital Network for Game 1 of the weekend series between the Spartans and Fighting Knights. Top of the second, about to begin from the Namole Family Stadium. And we're back on the SSE Digital Network for the weekend series. McGinnis low and inside. Ball one to open against Savannah Ellis. McGinnis looking to stay strong in the circle. A good season, although a 3-2 record. Tampa's pitching has always had a couple of question marks entering the season, but that's also true for the entire team with a lot of roster turnover. When they're back at the plate, we'll talk more about some of the players who've been able to step up. Easy catch made by Zekman, one down to start the frame.
And that's exactly the start you want to have. After you get 2 runs of support in the first inning, Tampa had a chance to really put things away, but left those 2 runners in scoring position. But as I kind of referenced earlier in the first, that's the kind of start that Coach Cantor wanted. You get a 1-2-3 frame from your ace, you get 2 runs in a home first, and put the pressure on the Lynn team that is still looking for their first win of the season. They're 0-6 on the season. They've lost 9 in a row dating back to last year and 11 of their last 12 as well.
Swing and a miss, 1-1. And Lynn's losing woes have not just come in this season, but against Tampa, they have lost the last 20 times they have taken on the Spartans. Their last win against Tampa was in 2018. That came on March 10th with a 4-2 win. In the all-time series, Tampa has a 69-19 record against the Fighting Knights. And Goins protecting on a 1-2 count.
And if you look at the history of Tampa against teams in the conference outside of Florida Southern and Rollins College, Tampa usually has that big series advantage against almost every team in the SSC.
2-2, just outside from McGinnis. And while this is definitely a Tampa team that is refreshing and reloading for the season, this is also a Lynn team that is doing the exact same. So you might say Tampa's the favorites. There's the first hit for the Fighting Knights. Goins up the middle with 2 strikes. And that'll bring up Kara Willis. The bottom of the order has had some hitting troubles for the Fighting Knights. As a team, they're batting 178. Kara Willis, 083 on the year. She gets the start out in left field. Almost came up with a very good diving play, but unable to hold on to the ball back in the first inning. No steals attempted on the season for Goins. We'll see if she takes a jump right here. Outside, 1-1 now from McGinnis, trying to get a swing and a miss. 1-1 on the way. Checked foul, 1-2.
You know she tried to hold up on that little change up in the zone and wasn't able to keep that bat on the shoulder long enough. Fortunate she was able to foul that off and make the count 1-2.
It'll be Kata Santiago on deck. She's looking for her first hit of the season. That one's grounded to third, and it's going to be called foul, although they would have gotten the out.
Unfortunate break there. It's a nice play down on the third base line by New Paver, but unfortunately it took that bounce before she was able to make that field and strike down over to first base.
Maybe Tampa can turn a double play instead. 1-2, fouled back, and the battle continues between Willis and McGinnis. And notably, McGinnis' stuff has dropped just a little bit in the circle this season. Had a lower strikeout rate, but I also imagine that's because Tampa's been trying to rely on her to go deeper into outings, as there's a swing and a miss. Her first strikeout, 2 down. The reason being, McGinnis doesn't have as many players out of the bullpen that are as comfortable in relieving roles. Holly Steffes is most likely going to be that Game 2 starter for the Spartans. And Winters and Travers, even though the numbers are obviously going to be a little bit skewed start of the season, it's hard to judge a pitcher until they got about 20 to 30 innings pitched in the circle. Their numbers are a little bit higher compared to the rest of the staff.
It always takes like one bad outing or one bad inning early in the season to jack up that ERA. So it takes have to take a lot of solid outings, so that one misses up in the zone to even up the count to lower that ERA. And again, the competition that Tampa has had to face to start off the year with 2 top 25 teams in the first 3 weeks will really test your mettle. And this is a part of the schedule. If you're Coach Cantor, you can really build some momentum. You got Lynn coming up, and then you have that midweek stretch where you have 3 doubleheaders. You got Assumption, you got Wilmington, who's made the D2 World Series several occasions, and Southwest Minnesota State coming in to cap off next weekend. So a real opportunity for Tampa here to build up some wins, possibly get themselves back in the top 25, and look to really build some momentum as this homestand starts.
And that's an important thing to mention as well, Victor. Tampa started the season nationally ranked second in the nation, coming off of their first national championship berth as a program. But that also came with a complete roster overhaul. So many graduating seniors, players who are legends of the Tampa program, finally stepping away from the field. And even though there have been a lot of promising players, a lot of promising freshmen at this stage of the season, where even if this isn't the year that Tampa can break back out, the future looks bright. Coach Cantor said she likes to live in the moment, and she doesn't like to lose. So definitely not as excited about a 4-5 start. Can Tampa get back over 500? Swing and a miss. And McGinnis ends the inning with 2 straight strikeouts. So Lynn got on the board with a hit, but that runner is stuck at first thanks to 2 straight whiffs for strike 3 out of Gwen McGinnis. Tampa leads entering the bottom of the second. Bottom of the second. Welcome back to the Namoli Family Stadium. Game 1 of 2 today. A doubleheader between the Fighting Knights and Tampa Spartans. Tampa's off to a 2-0 lead, and they'd like to get back to work at the plate. They capitalized off a wild pitch and an RBI single out of Cam Feast, her 3rd RBI of the season. Don't think she'll get the RBI on the wild pitch. Otherwise, should be at 4. That'll be ball 1. Just on the quarter for Yetter, the second base player and shortstop, a little bit cold at the plate to start the season, but those two very consistent on defense. That's why they are everyday starters for the Spartans. Make it 1-1. That one hits the zone from Lindsay. It'll be a roll back to the top of the order, and the promising freshman duo of Aubrey Zeckman and Jenna Newpaver to the plate for the Spartans as the count goes 1-1. 2-1. And I was able to check in with Coach Cantor pregame, and I asked her, have there been people that have been really stood out to you? Well, 2 of the people that Cantor had complimented were Newpaver, and that's going to be a base hit into left field. Newpaver and Zeckman both had some compliments. And now getting on board is Hannah Yetter with a leadoff single.
And a great job by Yetter, resetting up the top of the order, finding a little poke and getting on over the third baseman.
Yeah, just got over the head of Riley. And that will bring up Kenzie Reynolds, and I think I know what the game plan is going to be. Lay down the bunt, get the runner in scoring position. Foul, strike 1.
And the biggest thing with Lynn, as you see coming right in front of home plate, was the third baseman trying to get themselves in position over as Riley. And remember, when that bunt was laid down, in the first inning, Riley came crashing in and allowed the runner to go from first to third.
Bunt gets down the first base line. It's rolling, and both will be safe. This time they cover third comfortably. Good positioning from Riddle, the shortstop. And indeed, Riley coming in from the corners to try to get to the bunt. And the shortstop had forgot to cover on the wild pitch. Kreidler says thank you very much, makes it all the way to third.
But the problem is, in that particular situation, the first baseman, Ellis, didn't charge in. She assumed that Lindsay was going to be over to cover. And Lindsay, on her side, assumed that the first baseman would come into the line to get that bunt. So instead of having to sacrifice a runner at second, you have first and second at the top of the order.
Zeckman to Riley. Can she beat the throw? No, she can't, but it was close. This time they'll get the out on the sacrifice, but Tampa now has 2 in scoring position.
And that's Tampa softball for you. You get that bunt down, second and third. You give yourself an opportunity to knock them in. And remember, Tampa was in this situation in the first with second and third, but they flew out to left to get the final out of the inning and leave those runners stranded.
One interesting thing, when they had runners at the corners back in the first inning, they actually were going to have Feast lay down a squeeze bunt. I wonder if they'll call that number for Newpaver. First pitch, fouled. She'll be swinging away as we continue. But Newpaver and Zekman have done a great job at the leadoff role for you, Tampa. It's almost like Lauren Fantone and Lily Keister haven't left with how these two have been able to produce at the top of the lineup.
And this is what you want to have when you especially have two players as young as they are being trusted to be at the top of this order. And a timeout call to kind of reset and get the call from Coach Cantor outside of third. You see the Lynn outfield playing shallow and then giving her a big gap in right center field. So if she drops it there, it'll be at least two.
Scores for the bunt. It's bunted foul. So looks like Tampa won't have another chance at the squeeze play. With 0 outs, maybe you throw the dice because the bunt out is going to be a little less impactful, but you don't necessarily want to have the second out come on a foul bunt in this situation. So 0-2, I'd imagine Newpaver will try to just slap it down, and she'll flare it foul once more. Still in the driver's seat in the count is Lindsay, but obviously Tampa does like that they've been able to get contact in each of the 3 pitches.
And Lindsay working that middle outside. Don't want to leave anything over the plate to let her shoot towards that gap in right center field to bring home 2.
So Lindsay has to be careful. 0-2 on the way. High, ball 1. And now Tampa, they're not a team known for power, but the thing is, when you play in one of the most defensively friendly ballparks in the nation across any level of softball, you're going to struggle in terms of getting home runs. Extra base hits, on the other hand, they can come in bunches at the stadium, given how deep that outfield is as there's a conference on the circle. A few years back, when we were hosting regional play, the NCAA actually brought in a replacement wall that sat about 10 feet shallower than our warning track normally is, to make it so there was a little more offense at the plate, and we did see a few more home runs. Typically, you'll only see 3 or 4 here at the Namole Family Stadium every single season, and so far the only Spartan player who's been able to go yard, not being able to do so at home, was Kenna Kreidler.
Yeah, well, this place has historically been very friendly towards pitchers, and if you can get the ball out of this park, especially with the depth and the high walls in the outfield, probably the highest among any conference, any school in the conference, you definitely have earned yourself a slow stroll around the bases.
It's like you're playing at Coors Field without the elevation and with Fenway Park style walls. 2-2 taken up high. Jenna Newpaver with a successful sacrifice last time. Tried the squeeze with 1 strike, but it went foul, so she'll keep swinging away. There's Cantor giving some instructions over to Yetter. Fouled again. Long at bat continues. Lynn would love to rely on their ace for the entire day in the circle. They don't have activity in the bullpen. I think that little conference from Coach Pickett was just to check in for the infield as well. Just a team talk as well to kind of get refocused on defense, something they've had some early struggles with, something they've been looking to improve upon. Still 2-2.
And again, the strategy is pitch down and away. Don't give anything remotely close towards the middle in to let her shoot that one past the infield, as I continue to reference, that huge gap in right center field that can score both from base.
Infield ready to crash in. Down in the dirt, ball gets away. Yetter will come home. Play at the plate, not in time. Another wild pitch run scores for the Spartans, and Reynolds also advances 60 feet.
So it really takes all the pressure off right now because you got the run home on the wild pitch. Second time that's happened for Tampa today. So now anything in the outfield at the very least will get that runner home from third.
And honestly, anything on a high hop in the infield can do the same. Reynolds has some good speed on the base path, always has great range at shortstop. Payoff pitch, and it's foul. One right to the dugout. One of our photographers having to duck out of the way. Still 3-2. And again, you look at this at-bat from Newpaver. It's exactly what you want to see if you're Coach Cantor. She has worked an 0-2 count all the way to full, and she's fouled, I think, about 7 pitches away with 2 strikes. And another one goes foul again, and Lindsay's got to be thinking about, how do I get the strikeout against the freshman?
Well, the freshman's locked in on anything again. Down, trying to pitch her away, and she's hoping that Lindsay can just make one mistake, that one lapse of concentration with the game plan, and get something she can drive through.
So here it is. Infield playing shallow. Payoff pitch to left field. It is going to drop. And honestly, in that situation, it's probably a good idea for Willis to let it drop in foul territory. Even though you're risking a base hit, that's going to be the fourth run if she makes the catch, because might have had to do with a little diving or tumbling play to come up with the ball, and it would have been too hard to transition from glove to hand to home plate by the time Reynolds can tag up and score.
And her momentum was carrying her to the fence down the left field line, so it would have been an easy tag and score.
3-2 lined up the middle. Bounced off the second base player's glove, and it's 4-0 Spartans. That was almost an incredible diving catch out of Hope, and while Riddle does pick up the ball after the bounce, the runner was almost home, and Newpaver was already at first. RBI single for the Spartans.
And a great job again. She got the pitch she wanted and got a fortunate bounce off the second baseman Hope's glove and allows that fourth run to score.
Hit to third. This could be two. Throw to second. Throw to first. Not in time, and the ball gets away. Kreidler's going to head to second on the error, although the Fighting Knights will be satisfied with the second out of the inning off the Riley to Hope transition.
You'll take it any way. You can take outs any way you can get it. And right now, if you're Tampa, I think they're going to get a fresh softball from our home plate umpire, Mr. Robert Kirk.
Yeah, they will need one or two fresh balls here. The field's in good condition, but it might rain a little bit later today. There is scattered showers in the area. I mean, it's Florida. It's always going to rain occasionally. And it's also why we changed from a 6 p.m. one-game matchup to a doubleheader today. 2 down now, and that'll bring Cam Feast to the plate, swing and a miss, strike one. I know Kreidler's got to be happy to reach scoring position. She knew that was a double play ball, but she did beat the throw to first, and the throw out of Hope was offline. Up high to Feast, throw back to second, not in time. I like the quick pop out of Morgan, who's had a very strong impact on the team as a freshman already. Coach Pickett really praised her as a team leader, and that's something that you really like to see out of an underclassman, because it means that if she's able to stick with this program long term, she could be a 3 or 4 year captain of the program and not give you any worries about who's able to command the locker room.
It is really somebody that when you need that leader behind the plate, especially when you're working with a young staff or a young team as a whole, you can have that leadership behind the plate.
The 2-1 in the Feast fouled back. It'll be 2-2. She is working with a veteran in today's battery, Lindsay, a senior, but a lot of the other pitchers for Lynn are underclassmen, not counting the two-way player Ariana Rigo, who's a junior, but taking a look at players like Kaylee Zazali, also a junior. Actually, scratch that. Most of their pitchers are upperclassmen, as that'll be outside for ball 3. It is a healthy mix of young and old for the Lynn Fighting Knights, but for Tampa, it is an extremely young program with only a handful of upperclassmen, period. No seniors on the roster. Payoff pitch on the way to Feast. Hit down the line and fair. They're going to say it's fair. 5-0 Spartans. Feast heading to second, and she will be safe. The ball arrived early, but Hope didn't have time to turn and make the tag. An RBI double and the second RBI of the day for Cam Feast.
And a great job by Feast, just slapping that one through, and it took a little awkward slide going into second base. And she'll have a little conversation with Coach Cantor, and show a little wry laugh out of Feast after that little awkward landing, if you will. And this is the kind of start that Coach Cantor was hoping for when you were talking to her prior to the game. To jump on Lynn early, you get McGinnis going in the circle, and this could shape it to be a very promising Friday for Tampa against the Lynn team, who again trying to find themselves on both sides of this softball field.
And I also can kind of feel Feast's pain in terms of that awkward slide into second. Foul back for strike one for Salisbury. Back when I was a student here, I did some intramural softball. Had an awkward slide into third and tore up my leg. Had a really nasty cut on one of the plays that took a few days and weeks to heal up. Didn't stop me from playing. I was able to come home as a runner after that incident, but this dirt can definitely be a little bit awkward to slide on, so I can definitely feel the pain of Feast as she stays in scoring position, good to go, laughing off the pain like you mentioned. 1-1 count on the way to Salisbury, who already singled. That one's hit to right center, but tracking it down's the right fielder. Catch made, inning over. But it's another successful Spartan inning. They've got 4 hits, 3 runs. They also capitalize off an error out of the Fighting Knights as Tampa extends their lead to enter the top of the third. Five, nothing. Tampa leads as we come back on the SSC Digital Network. Gwen McGinnis looking to stay strong in the circle. She struck out 2 and given up just 1 hit in her first 2 innings. Taylor Storley, Victor Anderson bringing you the call for today's game. And Victor, it's just what the doctor ordered. Tampa, coming off of their sweep against St. Leo, is off to a hot start.
Well, this is the kind of start that Coach Kenton was hoping to get from her team after getting a bad taste of that series sweep out of their mouths, especially how the first 2 games of that series went, losing in extra innings in both of those games by 1 run. You come back home, you adjust your schedule because of the threat of inclement weather, and you got your dream start. You got a 2-run first, a 3-run second, and McGinnis is being McGinnis in the circle.
2 quick strikes to Allie Morgan, the freshman out of New London, North Carolina, has really impressed the coaching staff with her leadership this season. But can she do the same at the plate? Not yet. Swing and a miss. 3 strikes from McGinnis to open the inning. And that is her 3rd straight strikeout.
And that's exactly what you want from McGinnis. You get 3 straight strikes, all of them up and into the hands, really working, and that's how you start off a 3rd inning. And when you're a pitcher and your offense is hitting in spots the way they have right now, and that one misses at the letters for ball 1, your job as a pitcher is to get 3 outs as quickly as possible to get those bats back to the plate, and that's what McGinnis did with that 3-pitch strikeout.
The count will now go 2-0, another pitch missing high, but a good start to the inning for sure for Gwen McGinnis. Trying to capitalize off the offense and maybe bring those hot bats back to the plate. This one hit to right field. Not a lot of carry. Feast settles under it. 1 down, 2 down. Back to the top of the order, the second at-bat for Kylie Hope flew out to start the game. Hope's been pretty productive on offense for the Fighting Knights, .353 average on the season. As a team, Lynn's hitting .178. They are getting on base at a better rate than they're slugging, but that's not always a good thing. It is good if you're slugging pretty high, but if you're slugging down at .257, getting on in a .260 clip isn't as impressive.
Right, and the thing that with Lynn, they only have 1 home run as a team this season, but the pitching staff has only allowed 2.
Fouled away.
Hello.
0-2.
And Floriano had to scamper out of the way from the on-deck circle, almost got hit by some unfriendly fire.
She'll be ready in case the inning continues. McGinnis would like to end it right here. 2 strikes, 2 outs. And outside ball 1. Hope has delivered a .389 on base percentage. Floriano .450. Behind Savannah Ellis, they lead the offense for the Fighting Knights, and that'll be a hit up the middle. Scooped up before it gets behind for a double, but it won't be a 1-2-3 frame from Gwen McGinnis.
Nice piece of hitting with 2 strikes, just finding something a little bit middle up. Got that barrel through, nice stroke, and get yourself a 2-out base hit, and hopefully get some momentum going for Lynn.
And remember, it is a doubleheader today, so if you can't win this first game, you'd like to at least score late and just do something to get a spark for the second game, which is going to come up right after the first one. That one's high. Quick pop from Kryler to check on the runner. Hope has been successful in one steal this season. Riddle at the bottom of the order leads the Fighting Knights starting 9 with 2 stolen bases. Hidden to left, it'll be a second base runner. Out of reach of Reynolds. Not a strong hit from the Fighting Knights, but they're getting to spots where the Spartans aren't.
And this is what you want to see if you're Lynn. Show yourself a little bit of feistiness. Don't want to roll over in game number 1. And their best scoring opportunity with back-to-back 2-out singles.
And Coach Pickett also mentioned she wants to see the Fighting Knights compete. As that one goes high and inside, ball 1. They've been 0-6 to start the season. They started the year at the Valkyrie Classic Tournament, and they suffered 2 losses before their doubleheader against Converse got canceled. Then, in terms of various out-of-conference matchups at home, weekend showdowns against Kaiser and St. Thomas, Lynn dropped all 4 games, including an 8-inning matchup against St. Thomas that ended 8-7 with the Fighting Knights in the loss column. 2-2 now and a big swing and a miss. Tegan Riley trying to deliver. That one's high for strike 2. Another strong fastball out of Gwen McGinnis. And one more strike would strand the runners. Floriano and Hope at first and second. Hit to right field. Feast needs to get it, and she'll make the catch, ranging back, inning over. So Lynn finally get the bats going. They get 2 on the board, but on the run column, it remains empty as both runners get stranded. A good escape by McGinnis. 5-0 Tampa leads entering the bottom of the third. And we're back at the University of Tampa. Taylor Storley and Victor Anderson on the call. You know, Victor, we've been busy with softball over the last weekend. We were covering the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic with Flow Sports. And the notable thing that's going to be different this week than last week, compared to the stadiums at the Big League Dreams Complex, expect defense and small ball to be the key to success here. Back in Cathedral City, the best D1 teams in the nation had a field day with home runs at the slightly smaller ballparks. But Tampa playing at Namoli Family Stadium, one of the most defense-friendly parks in the nation, means both teams have to change up their strategies.
Well, Tampa, they really had some nice success in terms of that. Off to a 5-0 lead. That one bounces in front of home plate as Tampa will have their 8-9-1 hitters to Albietta, Reynolds, and Zekman. 5 runs, 7 hits for Tampa, 0-3 and 1 for Lynn.
That one's going to be high in 2-1. Batting sixth, Micaiah Brumble O'Neill will take the leadoff spot for the Spartans. Solid stuff for the freshman out of Moore, Oklahoma this season. 3 RBIs and a .333 average entering the day. This one's flared to right field. Will it drop? Well, it drops into the glove, so not on the ground. 1 down. And that'll bring up Abby Johns, another returning Spartan who is out in left field. Had a redshirt season last year out of Sarasota, Florida. The bottom of the order really got going for Tampa last time they came to the plate. 2 singles, and they both ultimately scored. That'll be ball 1 to Abby Johns.
I think that's what Coach Cantor's been wanting to find. And that's really led to their success last year, is getting production from 7, 8, 9, because you know what you're going to get from the top of the order. So if you can continue to get that in 2026, that will really lead to Tampa trying to duplicate the success that they had, or at least trying to giving them a chance to duplicate that success from 2025.
Tampa's found the most success out of Zekman, Newpaver, and Kreidler at the plate this season. And if they can get more consistency from the bottom three to lead to those at-bats, things will be good.
Oh.
And that will be out on Abby Johns for runner interference. Not watching where she's going as she runs into Ellis, who is tracking down the ball and unable to see Johns in the way. I don't think Johns was trying to interfere with the first base player, just awkward collision, and obviously the call was going to be she's out for out number 2.
I mean, she thought she was out of the way, but then the first baseman almost stood in her position and then inadvertent showed her.
I like the idea, though, from Johns, as that gets through. Another hit for Hannah Yetter, splitting the first and second base players.
Good job by Yetter. First pitch, poking one through, going backside, and keeping the inning going as they'll bring up as Reynolds will come to the plate.
And that will put some pressure on the base path now for the Fighting Knights. We'll see if Yetter jumps for her first steal of the season. But for now, it'll be Reynolds ready to go. And a quick warm-up continuing for Lindsay.
Yeah, look
as they're once again complaining about the ball. There's something up with it. I think they might like that one a little bit more.
It's one of those situations where you got the 9-hole hitter up. You got the top of the order. So it wouldn't surprise me if Coach Cantor doesn't like to try and move that runner across, try and get the runner in motion.
Outside, ball 1, and there was a bit of a jump from Yetter. Quickly picked up by Morgan for ball 1. Morgan also had an errant throw to second on one of the steal attempts earlier, so I wonder if Coach Cantor might want to try to capitalize on the rookie's inexperience. Make it 2-0. Close, but this has been a very batter-friendly strike zone today, something that we've also seen McGinnis struggle with a little bit in the circle, but especially for Lindsay.
Especially inside to these right-handed hitters for both teams. Robert Kirk's been consistent with that inside pitch.
Hit into foul territory, and that one's going to land right by the Lynn dugout. Make it 2-1. I always like consistency out of umps. If you have a really wild strike zone, as long as it's for both teams, well, that's the strike zone for the day. And as it stands, it looks like both the Fighting Knights and Spartans have to be even more daring in terms of painting the corners. Down low, good sharp drop on that offering. But it's taken for ball 3, and on deck is the dangerous Aubrey Zekman, who would be in a position to swing away. She doubled to start the game for the Spartans. Ball 4. That one rising high and outside of the zone. Second walk of the day out of Lindsay to put 2 on for Tampa. Well, what a start to the tenure in Tampa for Aubrey Zekman, the utility outfielder out of Wesley Chapel, who has grown to be the everyday center fielder for the Spartans. Also, very good on the base path. She's had 4 steals leading Tampa this season. And even though Tampa loves to bunt the runners over, they're not afraid to run for steals either. 2 down, 2 on for Tampa. Foul, kind of running forwards with a slap hit, but sent backwards.
And again, Lindsay pitching outside to these Tampa left-handed snappers and giving that big gap in right center field. You see the center fielder for Lynn going, shifting over, playing more a little towards left center field. So if she gets something in the hands and poke that through.
Down to the dirt, ball bounces away. Throw to third is not in time. Yetter stays put. Both runners jumped as they saw the awkward reception, and they'll get into scoring position. Don't know if this will be scored as a wild pitch or just a steal. It depends on what they want to call against the catcher.
Yeah, that ball was a little bit down. Nice job keeping it in front of her was Morgan, but doesn't prevent the Spartans from advancing.
Flared to left field, but Willis makes the catch to end the frame. So while both runners do get to scoring position, Tampa strands 2. Once again, having struggle bringing the runners home from scoring position, although they'll hold on to their 5-0 lead entering the top of the 4th. So we saw the awkward play and slide earlier out of Cam Feast into second base, and that has led to a change. It'll be Joey Trawick, the universal utility outfielder, stepping into right field to relieve Feast, at least on defense. We might see Feast back at the plate when she comes up in the next inning, but for now it'll be Trawick on defense as we start the top of the fourth. Might also be resting Feast for game two, just hoping to not aggravate whatever mild injury could have been picked up any further. Strike one given to Ellis, who leads off.
And remember, you got that quick turnaround. You got the first pitch for Saturday's single game at 1 p.m. So if Feast isn't available for the back end of game number one, you can either have a keeper in, be a designated player for game number two, or if you want to rest all together, give her game two off, have her fresh and ready and available for the series finale tomorrow afternoon.
We'll have to see how the weather is for that matchup tomorrow. Also getting slightly pushed up to 1 p.m. as that one's going to be rolled to third, scooped up and thrown to first by Newpaver. Great defense from the hot corner, one down.
A good job by Newpaver reading that awkward spin. It would have been a tough play over at short by Reynolds, but Newpaver, being aggressive, jumped on the high bounce and gets it over for the first out.
That'll bring Goins back to the plate now. The Fighting Knights were able to capitalize with 2 outs in the previous inning, getting back-to-back hits, putting McGinnis in trouble, but Tampa's veteran ace got out of the jam.
And that's the only real trouble that McGinnis has experienced in this series opener. She gets a swing and a miss, and that's kind of been the outcome for Lynn versus McGinnis this afternoon. 3 1/3, only giving up those 3 hits.
That one hit up the middle, scooped up by Reynolds. Clean defense from Reynolds, 2 down on a nice play at short. That's one thing I think Tampa can be confident about. Even though they have had 13 errors so far in their 9 games played this season, they're looking more comfortable on defense today, and that's a great play from short from Reynolds, who's really looked at home in that position.
And that's very un-Tampa-like, those high numbers of errors in such few games to start 2026. They're usually up there in the conference in terms of fielding percentage, fewest errors. So uncharacteristically unclean defensively.
Just hit foul. Out of range again, a Newpaver, who's also been incredible at the hot corner, playing defense with a pretty quick glove. Safe to say the number 3 and number 4 aren't just great in the leadoff spot. They are playing some stellar defense for the Spartans as some of their hottest new prospects in terms of the abilities as the count goes 2-1. And again, you can see how this team is just showing so much potential with the glove and at times with the bat. Reynolds makes the quick catch and the inning's over. 3 up, 3 down, and the defense able to work for McGinnis. Hasn't needed to go too deep into the at-bats to fight for strikeouts. Has picked up 3 and 4 scoreless frames. We'll be right back. Big swaps across the board for the Fighting Knights as we begin the bottom of the fourth. Gabriella Lindsay done for the day in the circle. We'll see if she's back in game 2, but I'd imagine she'll be done until the Saturday final game of the series. Taylor Sorworthy, Victor Anderson bringing you the action. And Victor, I know you've got some of the other defensive changes from the Fighting Knights in the inning.
Yeah, I got some more defensive changes. Floriano, that comes in the game for first base from playing right field. Now playing right field will be Lockhart, and a new catcher for Lynn will be number 16, the junior Kylie Dotson.
And the reason all of them have to shuffle in the infield is because the first base player, Savannah Ellis, moves to the circle. The junior's a two-way player and gets a chance out of the bullpen today. She's had a 5.0 ERA on the season, second best out of qualified arms in the staff with 14 innings pitched. She's only struck out one in that span, definitely more of a pitch-to-contact type of player, and that's what's going to be important for the Lynn defense to have her back with the glove.
Yeah, so the Lynn defense will be Floriano, Hope, Riddle, and Riley, the infield from first to third. The outfield will be Willis, Goins, and Lockhart from left to right. Dotson will be behind the plate doing the catching, and Ellis goes from first base to the circle.
So a lot of changes needing to be inputted for the Spartans before we start the brand new inning. Changes across the board to try to revitalize the offense for Lynn.
You see Robert Kirk giving those changes to Denise Rubio and Leslie Cantor.
Rubio making her way to first base as we get started. Newpaver, Kreidler, and Trawick to up, unless they bring Feast back to the plate after being replaced defensively by Trawick. Ball one missing high, and that's one thing about softball. Very fluid with substitutions. You can go in and out defensively and at the plate if you want. So we could see Feast get another chance. She's had a very good day today with 2 hits already. Unlikely that she'd be able to get a triple to complete the cycle if she does have a minor issue with a leg injury. Also, it could be a good chance for Trawick or a pinch hitter to get a chance to plate. Hit to short, close play at first, and out by half a step. Oh, so close for Newpaver, but a quick turn by Riddle gets out number 1.
A nice job, had to realizing that Trawick was jumping out of the box quickly on that ball, on that little quick chopper, to able to get there quickly for out number 1.
So Trawick does move up to the on-deck circle. That'll bring Kreidler to the plate. Has reached base twice, capitalizing on a walk to start the game, as that'll miss low for ball 1. And then a first pitch ground out to third, but Riley getting the first out at second. Hope couldn't get the second out at first. An errant throw put her in scoring position. Kreidler eventually came home. 2-0. And it was an RBI from the player originally on deck, Feast, who will be replaced by Trawick also at the plate. Tampa's number 1 gets a chance at the plate and will likely have a runner aboard. I'd imagine it'll be a 4-pitch walk to Kreidler once again. Trawick just 1 hit in 18 tries this season. It was a double. And there's a strike to make it 3-1. But if I'm Kreidler, I'm not worried about swinging until that count goes full. Hits it into left field. Got a free breaking ball right down Main Street. And it's a single with 1 away.
Good job by her. Got a 3-1 pitch she felt she was confident she could handle and gets a base hit, and Trawick with an opportunity.
That misplaced changeup looked like a batting practice lob, honestly.
Yeah.
And Kreidler's able to get on top of it. Doesn't hit the gap for a double, but puts a runner on board for Trawick. And we'll see maybe if she tries to square up and advance the runner. I'm not a big fan of one-out bunting, but you also do have Salisbury originally on deck. It looks like it'll be Feldman off the bench as that'll be strike 1. Feldman's been pretty clutch for the Spartans this season. She is batting .333, going 2 for 6 in limited appearances. Outside, couldn't pull it in the zone. 2-1 now. And again, Tampa's been able to start strong, but can they pick up the action in the later innings like here in the bottom of the 4th? Can they finish strong? Right on the corner inside, 2-2. Close call, top of the plate. Trawick might not be used to a strike zone being that tall, given that she is not as tall as some of the other Spartan players. Down to the dirt, that one falling all the way away, and Kreidler reaches on the wild pitch. Trawick standing in the batter's circle with the ball right next to her. Dotson couldn't field it in time. Full count hit to right field. That is in range for Lockhart, who will make the catch. Kreidler tags up, but thinks better of it. 2 down.
And Leslie Cantor making the announcement official with Feldman to pinch hit.
A We'll likely see Salisbury back on defense for the next inning. But for now, it'll be Feldman getting a chance. Olivia Feldman, the sophomore out of Lithia, Florida, is the sister of former Spartan Mary Beth Feldman, who had been pretty solid in the circle for Tampa as a Division I transfer. Feldman unable to have two-way success like her sister, but a pretty reliable player to come into the game in a spot like this. If she gets her third hit of the season, Tampa would extend to a 6-0 lead. And with McGinnis in the circle, that certainly has got to feel comfortable for Tampa. Game 1 of 2 today for the Fighting Knights and Spartans. The clouds look a little ugly, gray across the sky. Hopefully things remain dry. First pitch, strike one to Feldman.
This is one thing you do as a broadcaster. You do not reference what the weather is like unless it's sunny and 75 degrees.
Well, it's actually close to 75 today. It's a pretty warm afternoon game as the count goes 0-2. It was 75 at first pitch time.
The only reason I bring that up is when Tampa was in the regional with Rollins back in 2012, there was a Friday where Tampa played the opening game, and then they had a 5-hour rain delay after Tampa walked off Delta State, and the second game of that regional didn't start first pitch until 11:15. So that's why we are very conscious in this press box about mentioning how the weather looks.
That one's going to get away. Yet another wild pitch brings Kreidler into scoring position. Something similar happened a couple years back in another regional where it wasn't a Tampa game that got affected, but I believe it was Alabama-Huntsville's game getting delayed by a few hours and another game getting pushed into the next day. Thankfully, we've avoided a lot of big weather issues throughout the athletic year this year as we are actively knocking on wood in the booth. But it's always dangerous across Tampa. Two on the way. Outside ball 3, full count to Feldman. On deck is Brumbelow. Will Brumbelow get another base runner? Maybe Feldman clears the bases or even goes yard. Payoff pitch. Rolled on the ground to first. Will be a tough play. Slides in, makes the cover herself. I think she would have had time to toss it to Hope, but hey, that looks good on the highlight reel as the inning comes to a close. One hit, another runner stranded. Tampa still comfortably leads 5-0. Here we go, the brand new inning, top of the 5th from the Nemoli Family Stadium. Tampa is looking for 9 more outs. Feldman will stay in the game as the first base player, and Kelsey Winters will take the circle to relieve Gwen McGinnis. With a big lead, Tampa is going to do a substitution to try to close the door. Either way, McGinnis is in line now for a 4-2 record. 4 innings with 3 hits and 3 strikeouts. Solid work in the circle. Whether she'll return for the next game, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, it is the sophomore. Previously at Iowa, had a redshirt year there before being a freshman for the Spartans last season. It'll be Santiago, the new catcher, and then Riddle due up this inning. Winters has a 4.38 ERA on the season, has had 8 innings in the circle. Gets a good opportunity to get some work today. I think that also means, Victor, that we'll see Gwen McGinnis tomorrow, likely the Saturday afternoon starter, for the final game of the series. Ball one, missing down low.
Yeah, that was kind of the expectation. And McGinnis got off to a big lead, and Coach Cantor could give her some additional rest and keep her a little fresher for that Saturday series finale. And important, once you rep is the more important part, you give Winters a chance to get some extended run.
That'll miss high, 2-0. Wonder if Coda Travers will get a chance out of the bullpen later in this game, or if she'll maybe relieve Holly Steffes, who I'd imagine would be the Game 2 starter later today. Steffes, the very solid freshman out of Davie, Florida. This one inside, but clips the corner, 2-1. She'll get her first strike against Santiago, who struck out against McGinnis last time out. This will be the first start for McGinnis that isn't a complete game outing. She's also had 2 outings out of the bullpen in the season, carrying her 3-2 record. But every time she's taken the circle, she's gone the distance, except for today, thanks to Tampa giving her a little extra run support. Hit to left field, that is pretty shallow. Reynolds makes the catch, ranging back, 1 down. That'll bring Dodson to the plate.
That's exactly what you want if you win. Is you get an easy out, start up your time in the bullpen. It's all about executing here. You try and ignore the score as much as you can. Just execute, hit your spots.
Taking a look at Dodson's numbers this season, she's had 6 games played, only 1 start, but maybe she should be starting more often. She's batting 2 for 5 on the season. Can she keep it up against Winters? That'll be taken strike 1. She looks to be a defensive change in most of her games behind home plate. Likely has better repertoire with some of the other starters. It's always interesting when you look at a catcher for a team, and if teams kind of do almost platoon catchers that have better chemistry with different pitchers. Scooped it short by Reynolds. What a play as she goes all the way across to the second base position for out number 2.
And the way she was able to still make that on-target throw in sight, that last-second stumble before she got the ball away. Good job by Reynolds to stay with it for the second out.
And that is always a tough play to get to for an infielder. So great hustle to bring us 2 down. And a first pitch foul ball. Strike 1 to Riddle. Riddle stays in the game for Lynn. Not part of the big defensive changes we saw from first base to right field in the circle in the previous inning. Tampa not making any changes outside of Feldman staying on defense. That'll be ball 1. The change to Salisbury likely isn't due to injury, like the potential worry for Feast, but also get Feldman a bit more XP and experience down at that first base position. Down low, Winters unable to find a strike. For Winters, whose command isn't perfect, having a tight strike zone is definitely tough. But she's done a good job limiting her walks comparatively this season. 3 Ks to 4 walks in the early goings. Tries to go outside, won't generate a swing out of Riddle, and on deck is the leadoff batter, Kylie Hope. 3-1 out of the former Iowa player. Foul back with a bit of zip on that fastball, 3-2. The Spartans need 1 more strike to get out of the inning, and for Winters would be a 1-2-3 frame to start out of the bullpen. Looking to piggyback off of the great outing by McGinnis. Down the line and foul, still 3-2. Good job protecting by Riddle. She flew out back in her first at bat. Payoff pitch. Got her looking. Strike 3 on the corner, and Winters retires the side. 3 up, 3 down for 2 frames in a row from the Spartans. First one from McGinnis. This from Winters. Bottom of the 5th, Tampa leads 5-0. So here we go with a brand new inning, bottom of the fifth. Tampa would love to get back on the board on an offense. And it'll be Kelsey Winters coming in at the plate and taking strike one on the corner. Coach Cantor making some changes across the board at the plate and on defense. So trying to get some experience with a 5-run lead. 2 strikes, though, immediately from Ellis to Winters. Winters looking for her first hit of the season. Ball 1. Winters also a two-way player, but not in terms of playing a defensive position, rather as a batter. Rolled foul for strike 2 still. Back when Mariah Galehouse had been a long-time member of the program, when she wasn't in the circle, you could usually find her out in right field on defense. 1-2 on the way. Outside again. Command slipping a little bit from Ellis as the count goes 2-2. And a good job, as once again you notice, trying to work away from Winters, not give her anything over the middle. Inside. Ball 4.
Well, that's ball 3.
Oh, Winters has to go back. She left early. I'd like to think that the catcher and umpire gave each other a quick double-check look to each other, thinking, was that ball 4? And then they're like, wait, it wasn't. Full count now for Winters. Let's see if she will make her way to first base. Well, no, this one's popped up. And if it's caught, it'll be 1 down. Catch made. 1 away. A little premature going for ball 4. That'll bring up Abby Johns. Nope, change at the plate. Bella Campbell gets a chance right here. So Tampa going to keep rotating in and out. And this time it'll be the freshman out of Waco, Texas, also looking for a first hit of the season, ready to go. Tampa still trying to figure out their best starting 9, trying out some of their other young players. It's a rare situation for the Spartans where, you know, they're still kind of getting settled with so many new players. That's why a game where you already have a nice little lead like this can be very useful. 2-0. Couldn't frame that one cleanly. I like the idea from Dotson, who stays forming the new battery with Ellis. And that'll be ball 3. Close, but no strike called there. And I do imagine that Ellis and Dotson aren't going to be the happiest campers after that call. Hit up the middle will be a close play at first. Scooped by Florian, 2 down. Risky call to swing 3-0, and it doesn't pay off for Campbell. That'll bring up Hannah Yetter, who will stay in the game. Tampa trying to capitalize against Ellis, who's done a good job in the circle. Ball 1. And Yetter batting from the left side of the plate for this try. Tipped foul, 1-1. I wonder if this is something new for her, because she is listed as a righty in the roster, and I could have sworn she was batting righty earlier today. Maybe looking for a slap hit, or kind of dabbling from the other side of the plate. 1-1 on the way. Just inside, strike 2. I like the idea for Coach Cantor, if this is something that they've been trying to practice with Yetter, to be a switch hitter. Floated for ball 2. That one must have just crossed the plate a little high. Hannah Yetter, in terms of her height, is 5'3". That might have been the only thing that stopped her from taking what looked to be a good strike 3 pitch. Well, she'll go inside for strike 3. Vengeance on the next offering. Inning over. Ellis, 3 up, 3 down. Winters stays in the circle. We'll see if she's going all 3 innings for the save, or maybe just 2 out of the bullpen here, as she'll open up against the top of the order for the Fighting Knights. Kylie Hope, Annalie Floriano, and Tegan Riley due up. And I don't imagine you'd see the top 3 of the Lynn order get substituted. First pitch from Winters, who battled her way out of a tough situation in the previous inning. A full count strikeout against Riddle ended the previous out. 6 outs remain for the Fighting Knights if they'd like to win Game 1 of this series and break their 20-game losing streak against the Spartans. Ball 1 down low. Tampa looking to get to 500 and get their first conference win of the year. And with no conference tournament in the SSC for softball, these regular season matchups are more important than ever because you don't have a chance to have an underdog run to the auto bid.
And they're one of the two D2 conferences that crowns a regular season champion as the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. And a lot of coaches have kind of clamored and hoped for an opportunity for a conference tournament. But again, when you have a conference that's just as deep as talented as this, it gives those regular season series all the more meaning.
Swing and a miss, 2-2. The SSC across so many sports is so dominant throughout the South region of play when you're looking at things like volleyball, basketball, baseball, and of course softball. So many strong teams coming out of our conference into tournament play. That one rolled to third, scooped up at the hot corner, New Paver 1 down. And other sports do have those tournaments. Basketball, soccer, etc. But the sports where you swing the bat do not. 1 away for Annalie Floriano, who started out and right and has moved over to first base. Hit into left field. It is caught on the run. John stays on her feet. No need to make a diving catch. 2 down.
Good job by Campbell. Get a great jump in left field as a substitution earlier in this game. Gets there, makes a nice catch, and nice job by her certainly get an opportunity to maybe get the start on left field for game number 2.
So that'll bring up Riley. Great work there by Campbell. 2 the starting outfielders have changed, but not the shortstop. Oh, it's dropped by Fellman, and she can't secure it in time. That'll be an error to put Riley on first. Good job fielding it short, but the throw a little hot to handle for Feldman.
Yeah, they'll charge the air onto the shortstop. Right there. Feldman was right there. Couldn't hold on to it in time, but we'll see a pinch hitter come up for Lynn. It'll be Ariana Rigo, number 4, junior out of Valrico, Florida.
Rigo, I believe she is a left-handed batter, will step into the box. Also stands as one of the taller players for the Fighting Knights at 5'7". Floriano and Willis are the tallest at 5'8". Tampa's tallest is Kenna Kreidler at 5'11". Hit up the middle, picked up by Reynolds. This time the throw's on target, innings over. They just needed 1 extra pitch to get out of the jam. 1 stranded on 1 error. A clean inning for Winters. Last chance for Tampa to extend the lead. They're up 5-0. We'll be back with more action on the SSC Digital Network. Tampa has a chance to extend their advantage or even end the game a little bit early, potentially. For now, it's just a 5-0 lead for the Spartans, and it'll be a new pitcher in the circle for the Fighting Knights. They bring on Ariana Rigo, the junior, out of Valrico, Florida. We mentioned she's at the plate. She's now in the circle. Bit of a shaky start to the season, a couple of weird outings, but I do like her stuff. 3 strikeouts in 4 innings. We'll see how Tampa deals with it and see how her command is. She's also had 9 walks in that 4-inning span. Great outing from the bullpen for Ellis, 2 innings, 1 hit and 1 strikeout, keeping Tampa quiet as Tampa have also shuffled the lineup, ball 1 inside. Tampa started the season with that series sweep against Oklahoma Christian, the home opener. And then they went on that big trip to Embry-Riddle, going 4-0 in invitational play. Then a tight series loss against St. Leo, the crosstown frenemies, if you will. St. Leo with a really strong team looking so far this season. They're 5-0, leading the conference. Tampa currently tied for 7 with a myriad of teams who are winless in conference play. Most of them having already played 3 games, losing all 3. Ooh, that one drifts inside and plunks Kenzie Reynolds. She'll be on with no one out.
And we saw a little bit of control issues from Rigo when she was warming up prior to the start of the inning. And a little kind of sidearms, got like a little lean towards the third base side. Kind of on the bottom of the leg.
If you have high stuff and low control, it can be a good thing for a reliever sometimes. But you do have to make sure you're hitting the zone more often than not. Oh, wow. Squaring up for a bunt. Zekman immediately had to duck out of the way. And that is strike 1 because it was fouled behind.
Effectively wild.
Yeah, in this instance, I'd say so. But I think that Zekman might have had a heart attack on that play. That was an awkward spot.
Zekman's gonna need a moment, and then Dotson and Rigo are gonna need a moment as well. Because we referenced the control issues she had while she was warming up. Already hit Reynolds.
So close enough. Welcome back, Ricky Vaughn, making an 0-1 count to Zekman. That one just a bit outside.
Tried the corner and missed. So somewhere Bob Uecker is smiling down on the Major League reference.
For sure. Those movies were always so fun back in the day. What is your favorite baseball movie, would you say?
That one, Major League.
I'll probably have to agree with you. I do need to see some of the classics, believe it or not. I haven't watched Sandlot yet. To which everyone I know that is a baseball fan and likes the movie has told me that I need to drop everything and watch it now.
I mean, you have time between a doubleheader. You could do like a Cliff Notes version of it.
Yeah, I could look at the summary. Down to the Dirt 2-2, or maybe I just watch the full thing on TikTok. Everyone's posting full-length movies there nowadays as the count levels up to Aubrey Zekman. But that fastball velocity is good out of Rigo. That one going high, ball 3. It'll be new paver on deck, runner in scoring position with no outs, and a payoff pitch on the way to Zekman. That one, ball 4, and the runner goes to third. Another one very high.
And then she goes to second.
Hey, heads up play there, making it. And speaking of baseball movies, that one's straight out of Little Big League because you can go to second on ball 4, even if it's not a wild pitch, unless there's a runner in front of you, I think.
Of course.
Or you can try a double steal, but that's one of the fun moments from the film, where the player draws ball 4 and then turns to second to successfully execute a double steal. No double steal, but both runners advance. New paver ready to go now. The infield playing shallow. After seeing what happened for the initial bunt attempt by Zekman, do you dare square up? Ball 1 in the dirt. Good block by Dotson. And I think my guess as to why you might want Dotson's experience at the plate is because she is going to need to look like a lot like Connor Hellebuck out there behind home plate with how wild the arm of Rigo has been. See, it's a great thing for Rigo that she's got such a powerful fastball. That one's going to be strike one. But the problem is when that's offline, you have even less time to react behind the backstop. 1-1 now to New Paper. Just low and away, 2-1. Two-one count, hit up the middle, picked up at second. They'll just get out number one. 6-0 Spartans, and an RBI ground out of New Paper, her third of the season. And that'll bring Kenna Kreidler up to the plate. I'd imagine the most likely outcome is ball four, given that you've got a pitcher with control issues and a batter who is the best eye in the nation. I don't know if that's true, but I'd like to throw the hat in that Kreidler is certainly up there. Had multiple walk records in games for the Spartans last year, drawing 3 and 4 walks respectively at times. Already had one earlier today. She'll take strike one. Runner at third. One down, and Tampa extending their advantage to help Winters try to secure the save. That'll be down low and in 1-1. Fans might be thinking, well, why would it be a save? It was a 5-run Tampa lead when Winters entered. Well, if you go 3 out of the bullpen to close the game, or 3 or more out of the bullpen, you get credited with the save in that long relief outing. So if Winters stays in, she'll be in line for the first Spartan save of the season. It's 7-0 Tampa. Kreidler to first on an RBI single. I like that throw out of Willis from left field, though. Got it all the way to Hope at second.
A nice job by Kreidler. Just flip something a little bit in the outfield. Let it be deep enough to bring that runner home.
Double play opportunity potentially on the board. Joey Trawick will hope to avoid that as Cantor going to make a substitution, and surely that's a pinch runner for Kenna Kreidler to get some speed on the base path. However, unlike the others' changes, I imagine Kreidler will be back on defense in the next inning.
It'll be Lennox Ulrich, the freshman from Plant City, getting a chance to run at first.
Ulrich was caught stealing in her lone stolen base attempt of the season, but she does carry some solid speed. The utility player as well, finding a way to get into the lineup. She's also tied with Abby Johns for being the smallest Spartan on the field. 5'1" is her height. It's always good when you're smaller to have that smaller strike zone. Make it tougher for a pitcher to work to you. Ball one up high. Feels like Rigo's definitely settled in. Her command's been a bit better in these last few at-bats. And if you've got the stuff that she's got, I think you just got to challenge batters more often by throwing down the middle. If they hit it, they hit it. Outside, that one drifting away, 2-0. Feldman's on deck, and Trawick gets ahead 3-0.
At this point, keep that bat on your shoulder and make Rigo prove to you that she could throw strikes. And for what we've seen so far, she hasn't had the ability to get strikes consistently called.
That is strike one, not having a 4-pitch walk. There have been some long at-bats in the inning. Some ending quickly with 4 balls. This one won't. It's lined up the middle for a base hit. Ulrich to second. And it's 2 on and 1 out for Olivia Feldman. Back-to-back hits for the Spartans.
Nice job. And when you have a pitcher who throws that hard, all you got to do is get that bat to travel, you lay contact, and let the velocity do the work for you. And now you're Tampa. You get a good opportunity with Feldman. And hit away from ending the proceedings early.
Inside, and right on the corner, strike one. Haven't seen a lot of those get called for strikes today. And Feldman was even shielding out of the way of that fastball. She grounded out to first last time out on a good diving stop by Florian. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Rigo would love her first strikeout out of the bullpen right here. Beginning what has been a bit of a wild inning in the circle, but maybe effectively wild in this plate appearance. Winters on deck still. Almost very likely to stay in the circle. That one's going to go and slide away. No, that hit her.
It hit her.
So it'll advance all the runners to load the bases. Worst case scenario, a 2-strike hit by pitch. Winters has not delivered a hit or RBI this season. She has not even gotten on base in 4 at-bats with 3 strikeouts. She avoided a strikeout last time, getting a full count pitch to right field. A sac fly would be huge for Tampa here. And note the outfield is playing deep for Winters. First pitch. Ball 1 away.
Infield in, looking to get that runner at home plate. And again, with the velocity of Rigo, all you got to do, just poke something through with your Winters.
Swing and a miss, 1-1. Ironically, if Winters does keep the inning going here and Tampa's able to advance a runner to home, she would actually lose the save. She needs 3 innings on the circle to be eligible for it. Here's the 1-1. Swing and a miss, 1-2. Because if she does score a run, Tampa goes up by the magic number 8. And it's not always true that those run-ahead rules are in conference play, but I believe it will be on the cards here for the Spartans. 1-2 on the way. Up high, 2-2. Close take. And Dodson couldn't frame it. Two balls, 2 strikes to Winters. 3-2. And with 1 down, this will be a huge payoff pitch for the two-way player against Rigo.
If you're Winters, avoid anything elevated in the zone with that velocity of Rigo. Force her to pitch you and get your strike.
Popped up, and that is in range in foul territory for the first base player. Catch me. Would have probably been, actually wouldn't have been an infield fly rule because it was foul. So that'll be 2 down. Another strong at-bat out of Winters, but unsuccessful, as it'll be Campbell looking to get a clutch hit right here. Also looking for her first of the season. She also hasn't been on base this season. First pitch on the way from Rigo. Strike 1. Both runners with some big leads on the infield. Obviously nowhere to run just yet. Unless it gets to a full count, then they're just going because there's no reason to stay still. 0-1 on the way to Campbell. Flared foul. It's 2 strikes to Campbell. Rigo's also a two-way player for the Fighting Knights. Just like the Spartan bottom of the order, also been struggling at the plate this season, unsuccessful on 4 at-bats. 8 at-bats, actually. But can she leave him loaded? 0-2. Swing and a miss. And it's a great escape for Rigo. Leaving the bases loaded to take us to the 9th. Or to the top of the 7th. 7-0 Spartans. They do add 2 to the tally on 2 hits, no errors. We'll be back. And we're back at the Namole Family Stadium. Taylor Storey, Victor Anderson on the call as we enter the top of the 7th. Goins leading off for Lynn. 3 outs remain for the Fighting Knights if they'd like to try to make a miraculous comeback. First pitch from Winters. On the ground to third, and that'll be 1 away. Quick play from Newpaver to first.
And Winters has done a nice job coming in relief from McGinnis. Now 2 1/3 innings of scoreless softball.
Looking for 1 more to close the day. Only 1 base runner's gotten a board against Winters as well. That came off the error in the previous inning that allowed Riley to get on. Ball 1.
And for Winters, isn't an outing that she could really build on with pitching coach Jackie Davis, as she's only came in with 8 innings during this young season. And outing like that against a conference foe, trying to get 3 innings and get a save, will really build your confidence. They're definitely going to need her as they have that big stretch. You got 6 games next week. Got a doubleheader Wednesday versus Assumption, doubleheader Friday versus Wilmington, doubleheader Saturday versus Southwest Minnesota State. So you're going to need Winters and be solid, and you give outings like this will only boost up her confidence.
Hit on the ground a second, bobbled by Yetter, and that'll be a runner safe on the air. Tried to scoop it up, but it slipped out of the hands. Tough for Yetter, who's been very solid defensively. Let's see how Winters responds to the adversity. Santiago back to the plate for the Fighting Knights.
Really,
by the way, if Winters can close the inning, this would be the first save of the season for the Spartans. Ironic that it doesn't come in a close game. And you also, while Tampa has had a successful outing, this could be too. Touches the bag, throws on target, game over. Tampa wins. But I'll continue what I was meaning to say before the quick turn from Reynolds ends the ball game. But Tampa, once again, they left 9 on board in the 7-0 win. Maybe they'd like to be a little more active at the plate as our cameras died. That's not good.
Well, fortunately, we got 30 minutes to clear things up before game 2.
That will certainly help a ton as Winters closes the door for game 1 of this double header. Solid inning for Winters out of the bullpen, getting the first save of the season for the Spartans, striking out 1. No hits allowed with 2 errors surrendered from the Spartans defense in that span. And Gwen McGinnis gets her 4th win of the season as Tampa wins 7-0 on 11 hits. Both teams picking up an error, a second one just in this inning from the Spartans. Lindsay, a solid outing, but through 3 innings will take her 3rd loss of the season, surrendering 5, including 4 earned. Tampa is back at 500. They are 5-5 through 10 games, and the losing streak for Lynn will continue as they fall to 0-7. They are now 21 straight losses against the Spartans, but in 30 minutes or so, with Victor hopping on play-by-play, we'll have a chance to see if the Spartans can keep the winning ways going, or if Lynn can break the losing stretch and finally get in the win column in 2026. So, there's been some Spartan softball. We hope to see you soon. More action from the Namoli Family Stadium shortly. I'm Taylor Storley alongside Victor Anderson. See you next time. Final score, Tampa 7, Lynn 0.